Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is the 27th December 2024. In this video, I'm going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. Even before that, all of you please understand we are providing complete free training on supply demand zone price action. All the training lessons are available at our NeoStock YouTube channel. You also should understand the cost of the training is over $8,000 and this is a complete free training. And at our NeoStock homepage, please click on the tab Posts. Some of you might be seeing the tab Community. Click on the tab. You get access to this free training course. This post is having a YouTube playlist link that will take you to all the training lessons. You just click on the link. Now we are into the supply demand zone price action course. You just need to scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here, starting from lesson 1.1, all the training lessons are placed in an order. So please go through all these lessons one by one and strengthen your skills related to supply demand zone price action. I have also provided the link to our Telegram channel in this video description. Please join at our Telegram channel. It will be helpful to you each time when we release a new YouTube video or any other very important updates we will be providing at our Telegram channel. Now let's get into the report generation. First, let us start, and also one more point. Today is also end of the week. I will also be generating few additional reports for the weekly time frame. And first, let us find the stocks near demand and supply zones, starting with quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly demand zone. 3 stocks are filtered. I am giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. I request you pause the video, study the report and then proceed further. In case if you does not understand how to study the report, I request you complete our training lesson 21.1. In that video I have explained each and every column, their values, abbreviations in detail. Okay, next, quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly supply zone. 6 stocks are filtered. Next time frame is monthly. Stocks near monthly demand zone. 11 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame. Stocks near monthly supply zone. 4 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly demand zone, and these monthly demand zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count parameter at monthly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means pierced count is 0. Pierced count 0 means the zone is not pierced. Now let's filter the stocks. So the first 20 stocks in the list where price closed inside the monthly demand zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 28 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the monthly demand zone. We can further filter this list by adding some additional high probability parameter, EMA Confluence. That is monthly demand zone having monthly EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence parameter at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA Confluence. But you should also understand EMA Confluence makes sense only in the trending market, uptrend or downtrend, but not in sideways. So that's why in the trend at monthly time frame, I am selecting up or down, but not sideways. Let's filter. See, now the list is come down to 14 stocks. These 14 monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA Confluence, and also the current price is closed inside the monthly demand zone. Next, monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly supply zone, and these monthly supply zones should not be pierced. So at pierced count, monthly time frame, I'm setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. We got only 3 stocks. Current price closed inside the monthly supply zone. Let's verify any of the supply zones are having a EMA Confluence, monthly time frame, monthly supply zone with monthly EMA Confluence. No stocks are filtered. Okay. Next time frame is weekly. Stocks near weekly demand zone. 13 stocks are filtered. NIFTY Bank is also there. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Stocks near weekly supply zone. 11 stocks are filtered. Next, weekly time frame. Price closed inside the weekly demand zone, and these weekly demand zones should not be pierced. At pierced count, weekly time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. We got a big list. First 16 stocks where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 47 stocks are filtered. Price closed in these weekly demand zones. We can further filter this list by adding the high probability parameter EMA Confluence. Let me add that filter to these 47 stocks. So in the EMA Confluence, at a weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly demand zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and the trend on weekly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. So with these filters from 47 stocks, now the list is reduced. First 17 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered. These 20 stocks are having a weekly demand zones with weekly EMA Confluence, and also current price closed inside these weekly demand zones. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Price closed inside the weekly supply zone, and these weekly supply zones should not be pierced. So at pierced count parameter, weekly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. With these filters, we got 15 stocks. Currently price closed in these 15 weekly supply zones. We can further filter this list based by adding the high probability parameter weekly EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence parameter at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA Confluence. And EMA Confluence should be used only in the trending market but not sideways. That's why a trend weekly time frame, I am selecting up or down trend. With these filters, from 15 stocks, the list is reduced to 5 stocks. These 5 weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA Confluence, and also the current price closed inside those weekly supply zones. We are going to add a few more additional reports because this is end of the week. Let us also look into tested zones. For weekly time frame, Let us find the tested weekly demand zones during this week. So all these 17 stocks having the demand zones are tested during this week. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Let us find the tested supply zones during this week. The stocks having the weekly supply zones. So these 5 stocks having the weekly supply zones are tested during this week. Next, we will find newly created zones. For weekly time frame, the demand zones, stocks having the newly created weekly demand zones. Only this one stock having the newly created weekly demand zone. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zones. These 3 stocks are having newly created weekly supply zones. Okay, we will also filter some more stocks based on the Zone Confluence. Excuse me. Let us find the stocks having a monthly EMA Confluence, monthly Zone Confluence, and also monthly EMA Confluence. So for weekly time frame, LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let us assume weekly is the LTF. ITF is monthly. So let us look for a weekly demand zone having a monthly demand zone confluence. I enable that filter. And the weekly demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at weekly time frame, minimum value I am setting 0, maximum value I am setting 0. And also these weekly demand zones should have weekly EMA confluence. Earlier we have seen only prices closed inside the zone. Now we don't have any restrictions, any zone, inside or outside price. But the condition is the weekly zone should be having monthly zone confluence, that we already said. Now we need to set monthly zone is having monthly EMA confluence. Why? Because weekly demand zone is a part of the monthly demand zone. That's why we are setting the filter. Monthly demand zone should have monthly EMA confluence, and the trend on the monthly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. With these filters, how many stocks we get? We got a big list. All these weekly demand zones are having a monthly demand zone confluence. That means weekly zone is part of the monthly zone, and monthly zone is having monthly EMA confluence. You can look into the search strategy. Always you can read this. Okay, I am scrolling the list down. So total 36 stocks are filtered. Next, let us look for weekly, monthly and quarterly demand zone confluence supported stocks, and also having quarterly EMA confluence. Because the trend should not be any, but here the trend should be quarterly. Quarterly trend should be up or down, but not sideways. And EMA confluence should not be on monthly. So monthly I am removing, and quarterly. The quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. And in the demand zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. One is already set, that is a weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Next, weekly demand zone with quarterly demand zone confluence. Next, monthly demand zone with quarterly demand zone confluence. With all the three filters, and the quarterly zone is having quarterly EMA confluence, that filter is we set, and trend should be either up or down, quarterly trend. Now also we got a good list. The first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 19 stocks are filtered. In all these 19 stocks, weekly zone is part of the monthly zone, both together again part of the quarterly zone. And the quarterly demand zone is having quarterly EMA confluence. And quarterly trend is not sideways. So with these filters. Okay, similarly we will look for supply zones also. For weekly time frame, let us look for first weekly zone should not be pierced. Let us set pierced count on weekly time frame. Minimum value 0, maximum value 0. And in the supply zone confluence, weekly supply zone having monthly supply zone confluence. But mostly we may get the list very small. First we will see the list and then we will add the EMA parameter. Okay, we got a big list, not a small. 39 stocks are there. That means in all these 39 stocks, the weekly zone is part of the monthly supply zone. That is what supply zone confluence, monthly and weekly. Now we will add, we will further filter with the EMA confluence. In the EMA confluence at a weekly time frame, not weekly, sorry, monthly time frame. Why monthly? Because weekly supply zone is part of the monthly supply zone. That's why the monthly supply zone should have monthly EMA confluence. Monthly supply zone with monthly EMA confluence. And also trend on monthly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Now let us filter. We got 8 stocks. Instead of 27, the list is reduced to 8. In all these 8 stocks, the monthly trend is either downtrend or uptrend, but not sideways. Okay, this is based on weekly and monthly confluence. Next, weekly, monthly and quarterly supply zone confluence, let us look for. I am removing this EMA filter and the trend filters. Supply zone we may get a small list, that's why. First let us look for all the 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, weekly with monthly. Next, weekly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. Monthly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, only supply zone confluence, no EMA confluence. We got 10 stocks. Look into the search filter, we have only supply zone confluence, quarterly, monthly, weekly. No EMA filter. 10 stocks are filtered. From this 10, in this 10, the weekly zone is part of the monthly supply zone, both together again part of the quarterly supply zone. So this is what LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. Now let us verify how many of these stocks are having quarterly supply zone EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence at quarterly time frame, quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence. In the trend at quarterly time frame should not be sideways, it can be up or down. With these filters, now the list is reduced to 4 stocks. So these are the weekly reports. Now let's go to the next time frame, daily. Entry time frame daily, let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. 14 stocks are filtered. Excuse me. Now let us look for high liquidity zones, daily high liquidity demand zones from this list. Cholamandalam Finance is having a high liquidity daily demand zone. PVR INOX is pierced, so it's not valid. So we have only one valid high liquidity zone, that is Cholamandalam Finance. Okay, next, daily time frame. Let us find the stocks near to the daily supply zone. 8 stocks are filtered. Let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. Daily high liquidity supply zones. Lupin is having a daily high liquidity supply zone. Mahindra and Mahindra, OIL. So we identified 3 daily high liquidity supply zones from this list. Okay, next, daily time frame. Price closed inside the daily demand zone, and these daily demand zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at the daily time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Now let's filter the stocks. Price closed inside the daily demand zones. We got a big list, first 17 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 36 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the daily demand zone. We can further filter this list by adding high probability parameter daily EMA Confluence for daily demand zones. So let me add that filter. In the EMA Confluence, at a daily time frame, daily demand zone having daily EMA Confluence with this filter, but the trend on the daily time frame should not be sideways with EMA filter, so I am selecting up or down trend. Let us filter the stocks. We got 14 stocks. Instead of 37, we got 14. In these 14, all these daily demand zones are having daily EMA Confluence, and also the current price is closed inside the daily demand zone. Okay. Next, daily time frame. Price closed inside the daily supply zone, and these daily supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at a daily time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. With this filter, the first 15 stocks in the list, I am scrolling the list down. So total 17 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the daily supply zone. We can further filter this list by adding the high probability parameter EMA Confluence on the supply zones. So in the EMA Confluence parameter at a daily time frame, I am enabling the filter daily supply zone with daily EMA Confluence, and also the trend on the daily time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down trend. So with these filters, we got 7 stocks. From 15, the list is come down to 7. All these 7 daily supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence, and also the current price is closed inside the daily demand zone. So this is about the daily time frame. Next time frame is 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. First 15 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 17 stocks are filtered. Next, 125 minutes time frame. Stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. 4 stocks are filtered. Next time frame is 75 minutes. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. 9 stocks are filtered. Let's identify the high liquidity demand zones from this list. Ashok Leyland is having a high liquidity demand zone, 75 minutes demand zone. SBI Life, Tata Chemicals. So we have identified 3 high liquidity 75 minutes demand zones from this list. Stocks near the demand zones. Okay, next, for 75 minutes time frame, stocks near 75 minutes supply zone, we got 6 stocks. Let us identify high liquidities 75 minutes supply zones from this list. So Nifty Bank, that is nothing but Bank Nifty, first one. That's it. We identified only one 75 minutes high liquidity supply zone from this list. Okay. Next time frame is 25 minutes. Stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. We got 6 stocks. Next 25 minutes time frame. Stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. We got 10 stocks. Next time frame is 15 minutes. Stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. We got 10 stocks. Next 15 minutes time frame. For these 10 stocks, let us apply LTF and ITF demand zone confluence and filter. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, from 10 stocks, we got 7. And all these 7 15 minutes demand zones are part of this 75 minutes demand zone. Okay, next time frame is again for 15 minutes time frame, stocks near 15 minutes supply zone, we got 7 stocks. Okay, let's further filter with the LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 15 minutes supply zone with 75 minutes supply zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. So with this filter, from the 7 stocks, the list is come down to 1 stock. So this 15 minutes supply zone is part of the 75 minutes supply zone. Okay, next time frame is 5 minutes. Stocks near 5 minutes demand zone. We got 6 stocks. We can further filter based on LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. So with this filter, the list is reduced to 2 stocks. And these 2 5 minutes demand zones are part of the 15 minutes demand zone. Okay, next for 5 minutes time frame, stocks near 5 minutes supply zone, we got 7 stocks. Out of these 7, how many are having ITF supply zone confluence? That is 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. With this filter, we got 6 stocks. But out of these 6, there is one pierced. So ignore the 6th one. It is a pierced. So the remaining stocks, the 5 minute supply zones are part of the 15 minute supply zone. So this is about stocks near demand and supply zones. So next reports are about Nifty, Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. Let us start with Nifty, generating monthly supply demand zone chain for Nifty. This is a Nifty monthly supply demand zone chain. Always look into the zone column to find high liquidity zones. Look into the pierced column to find the pierced zones. Pierced zones are not valid or tradable zones. And always look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. Same rules you can apply to the remaining supply demand zone chain reports. And also don't forget to pause the video when you are moving from one report to another report, because I am giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. Okay, next, weekly supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next, 125 minute supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next, 75 minute supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next, 25 minute supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Nifty. Because you have very few demand zones, I am scrolling the list down so that you can view further next demand zones in the chain. Okay, next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Nifty. You are seeing all the supply zones in the list. To view the demand zones, let me scroll the list down. So this is about Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next, I will be generating Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. That is nothing but Nifty Bank. Okay, monthly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 125 minute supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. So this is about Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. If you want more demand zones, I can scroll the list down. Okay. So this is about Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next set of reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly income trade, weekly income trade and daily income trade. First let us generate bullish trade setup for monthly income trade, entry time frame daily, entry zone demand zone, bullish or bearish trade setup at daily. I am selecting bullish, and these daily demand zones should not be pierced. So at pierced count parameter at daily time frame, that is entry time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. This filter is applied to daily demand zone. Second filter is zone achievement, violated opposing zone. Third filter is a minimum odd enhancer score should be 12, and all the three filters are applied to daily demand zone. Now let's filter the stocks, and we got 15 stocks, and all these 15 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for monthly income trade, and all these entry zones are daily demand zones. All these demand zones are daily demand zones. These are the bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. And out of these 15, there are some high probability setup supported zones. We can already, there are based on the high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can also further filter based on zone confluence. The first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. So let us add that filter for those 15 stocks. LTF and ITF, that is nothing but daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. Out of 15 stocks, we got 10 stocks. In all these 10 stocks, all these daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone. And the weekly trend is uptrend. Weekly means ITF for MIT trade setup. Because weekly trend is up, if any of those weekly supply zone, weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks, because daily zone is part of the weekly zone. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at weekly time frame, because daily zone is part of the weekly zone. So I am setting the parameter weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence. With this filter, now the list is reduced to 8. All these 8 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, this is based on LTF and ITF demand zone confluence and weekly EMA confluence. Next filter is about LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, I should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, that is a daily with weekly demand zone confluence. Second filter, daily demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Third filter, weekly demand zone confluence with monthly demand zone. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence, we got only one stock. This daily demand zone is part of the weekly demand zone, both together again part of the monthly demand zone. That is what LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. Okay. If this stock is having monthly EMA confluence, it is even more high probability trade setup. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence filter is enabled. So the stock is not filtered. Okay, that is about bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for monthly income trade, entry time frame daily, entry zone supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bearish. These daily supply zones should not be pierced. So at pierced count parameter, at daily time frame, entry time frame, I am setting minimum value 0 and maximum value 0. Zone achievement, violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score 12. All three filters are applied to daily supply zone. Let's verify. We got only one stock. So this daily supply zone is supporting bearish trade setup for monthly income trade, and this entry zone is a daily supply zone. Let us check whether it is a high probability trade setup zone or not. First, let us set LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a daily and a weekly supply zone confluence. Daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Yes, the stock is filtered. That means this daily supply zone is part of the weekly supply zone. And weekly trend is a down, ITF trend. If weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA confluence, this stock is a even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, because the daily supply zone is part of the weekly supply zone, and weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence filter, yes, this stock is filtered. That means this is even more high probability trade setup supported stock. And let us also verify whether this stock is having even HTF supply zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, three filters now we have to enable. First filter is already enabled, that is daily with weekly supply zone confluence. Second filter, daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Third filter, weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. With all the three filters, LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence, the stock is not filtered. So anyway, that is a very high probability trade setup supported stock, because that is having ITF confluence and also ITF EMA confluence. Zone and EMA both it is having, both the confluences. Okay, next let us look for bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. For weekly income trade, entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 75 minutes time frame, entry time frame, I am selecting bullish. And this 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. And the zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All three filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. Let's filter the stocks. We got 8 stocks. All these 8 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade, and these entry zones are 75 minutes demand zones. Out of these 8 75 minutes demand zones, some of the high probability supported zones might be available based on the high liquidity zones. But apart from that, we should also further filter based on the zone confluence. So first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. So in the demand zone confluence, LTF and ITF, that is 75 minutes is the LTF, daily is the ITF. So 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we got 6 stocks. In all these 6 stocks, the 75 minutes demand zones, all these 75 minutes demand zones are part of the daily demand zone. And the daily trend is up in all these stocks because the daily is ITF. ITF trend is up. Because the daily trend is up and 75 minute zone is part of the daily zone, if these daily demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, then those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at daily time frame, I am enabling the filter daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence, because 75 minutes entry zone is part of the daily zone. Now let's filter the stocks. Now 2 stocks are filtered. So these 2 75 minutes demand zones are even more high probability trade setup supported zones, because these zones are part of the daily zone, and daily is having daily EMA Confluence. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, that is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Second filter, 75 minutes demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. Third filter, daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF, demand zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these 75 minutes demand zones are part of the daily demand zone. Again, both together part of the weekly demand zone. And the weekly trend is weekly trend is up in 2 stocks. First one is sideways, so no importance for weekly EMA confluence. But second and third, if they are having weekly EMA, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at weekly time frame, because 75 minutes together with daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone. That's why we are setting the filter weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence. With this filter, we got 1 stock. First one we are ignoring NIFTY because the trend is sideways. So we are focusing on second one, BEL, because the trend is uptrend. EMA confluence makes sense only in the trending but not in sideways. So the BEL is a even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Of course, Nifty 50 also, because it is having low priority high liquidity zone. Maybe that is the reason why it is already tested once. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Entry zone supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame 75 minutes, I am selecting bearish. The 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. And in the zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhanced score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minute supply zone. Now let's filter the stocks. We got 12 stocks. All these 12 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. And the entry zones are 75 minute supply zone. So all these 75 minute supply zones, there are some high probability setup supply zones are available based on the high liquidity zones. Apart from these high liquidity zones, we can also further filter based on the zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is nothing but 75 minutes with daily supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With this filter, we got 7 stocks. In these 7 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone. And the daily trend is down. ITF trend is daily trend. Because the daily trend is down, we can set daily EMA confluence. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence filter is enabled. Because 75 minute supply zone is part of the daily supply zone. That's why daily supply zone with daily EMA confluence, we got 4 stocks. So these 4 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supply zone, 75 minute supply zones, supporting bearish trade setup based on LTF, ITF, supply zone confluence and also EMA confluence. Okay, next filter is based on LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing this EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, that is 75 with daily supply zone confluence. Second filter 75 minute supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Third filter daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence, we got 2 stocks. In both these stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone, both together again part of the weekly supply zone. And the weekly trend is down for the first stock. If this is having weekly EMA confluence, this is even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence at a weekly time frame, because 75 minutes together with the daily supply zone are part of the weekly supply zone. That's why weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we got the first stock. Second stock you can ignore because it is sideways. It doesn't add extra advantage. But this is adding more probability. Success rate will be added to this stock. Bajaj Auto. And moreover, it is already high liquidity zone. Okay, this is about bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, daily income trade, bullish trade setup, entry time frame 15 minutes, entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes time frame, I am selecting bullish. This 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhanced score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 15 minutes demand zone. Let's filter. We got 11 stocks. All these 11 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade. And the entry time frame zones are 15 minutes demand zones. All these are all 15 minutes demand zones. Out of these 11 15 minutes demand zones, some high probability setup supported stocks are there based on the high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can further filter based on the zone confluence. So the first filter is 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. Let us verify. In the demand zone confluence, LTF and ITF demand zone confluence, that is, I am enabling the filter 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. With this filter, we got 10 stocks. In all these 10 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes trend is up in all these stocks. That is ITF time frame. Because 75 minutes trend is up and the 15 minute zone is part of the 75 minute zone, I am setting the EMA filter on the 75 minutes demand zones. So 75 minutes demand zone having daily EMA confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we got 2 stocks. So these 2 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Because these 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. And those 75 minutes demand zones are having daily EMA confluence. And trend is also uptrend. Okay, next filter is LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, we need to set 3 filters. Already first filter is enabled. That is 15 minutes with 75 minutes demand zone filter is enabled. Second filter is 15 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Third filter is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 9 stocks. In all these 9 stocks, the 15 minutes demand zone is part of the 75 minutes demand zone, both together again part of the daily demand zone. And daily trend is up in majority of these stocks or some half of the stocks. If those stocks are having the uptrend with daily EMA Confluence, daily demand zone with daily EMA Confluence, or even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA Confluence at daily time frame. Why daily? Because the 15 minutes zone together with 75 minutes demand zone are part of the daily demand zone. That's why we are looking for daily demand zone with daily EMA Confluence. And trend should not be sideways. Daily trend, because it is bullish trade setup, trend should be uptrend, daily trend. So with these filters, let's verify. We got 3 stocks. These 3 are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame 15 minutes. Entry zone supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes time frame, I am selecting bearish. These 15 minute supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 15 minute supply zone. Now let's filter the stocks. We got 6 stocks. And these 6 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. And these entry time frame zones are 15 minute supply zones. Out of these 6 15 minute supply zones, some of the high probability setup supported zones are there based on the high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can also filter based on zone confluence. That is, first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a 15 minute supply zone with a 75 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. That means 15 minute supply zone should be part of 75 minute supply zone. We got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, these 15 minute supply zones are part of the 75 minute supply zone. And 75 minutes trend is down in all these stocks. That is ITF trend. Because 15 minute supply zone is part of the 75 minute supply zone, those 75 minute supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence. They are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. The EMA Confluence at 75 minutes time frame, 75 minute supply zone with daily EMA Confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we did not get any stocks. Okay, fine. We can look for LTF, ITF and HTF zone confluence, supply zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled. 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. Second filter, 15 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. Third filter, 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got only 1 stock. So in this stock, this 15 minute supply zone is part of the 75 minute supply zone. Both together again part of the daily supply zone. But daily trend is sideways, so no need to look for EMA confluence, because EMA confluence does not give any advantage if the trend is sideways. But it is already high probability setup zone, because the zone itself is a high liquidity supply zone, 15 minute supply zone. And also supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. So this is about bearish trade setup daily income trade. And in the final report, let us generate stop buffers based on daily ATR. First 17 in this list are indices, Remaining all are equity stocks. What I do, I keep on scrolling the list down. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there you please pause the video and then you can proceed further. Okay, I am scrolling the list down. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you for your further study and analysis. Let's all meet again in our next video. Thank you.